Hello and welcome to Car and Bike. My name is Shams. In a world and a market that is full of all sorts of SUVs, these two are holding fort when it comes to sedans. And the new generations of the Honda Amaze and the Maruti Suzuki Dzire prove that. Now both these cars are better than what they were earlier in the previous generations, but which one of these two is better is what we're trying to figure out today in this video right here at Car and Bike. So let's get straight into it. Let's tell you all that is good and not so good about both the Amaze as well as the Dzire, and which one should you pick at the end of it. But before we tell you that, if you still haven't subscribed to Car and Bike, please do it right now. Also press the bell icon, and if you like this video, do like it and share it with everyone you know. Two cars that have been on sale in the market for a long time, and both have seen their ups and downs. And now with renewed vigor, both are out to take on each other and also challenge a tough market scenario. Radiant red on the Amaze, gallant red on the Dzire. You tell me which one do you like more? I'm liking this one more, especially on a day which is as gloomy as this. Just feels like a bit more alive, this color. But in terms of looks, these cars are really apart. Amaze first, this one actually feels like a part of the Honda family. It reminds you of other cars from the brand, while the Dzire, the face is absolutely exclusive and you haven't seen before on any other car from the brand or any other car in the market as well. That is really nice. I like the way the headlamps are designed on both the vehicles. They look quite nice. On the Amaze, the DRLs find a place on the top, while on the Dzire, they find it below the headlamps. That is different. But then you come to some really important aspects, one of which is dimensions. Now, exactly the same length of both the Amaze as well as the Dzire, which is a bit of a surprise. But importantly, the wheelbase on the Amaze is longer, while when it comes to width, the Dzire is better. The Dzire is taller as well, so even Stevens there when it comes to dimensions. But a very important fact is ground clearance. And this is where the Amaze clearly leads. It gets a ground clearance of 172mm, which is a whole 9mm more than the Dzire, and that could be really crucial in a segment where every millimeter matters. Alloy size is the same on both the cars, the wheels are the same size, but Honda, I believe, missed an opportunity to give you alloys that look slightly more different to give the car a distinct identity. It resembles other cars from the brands, which may not be a great thing to do. Chrome, very important for the Indian consumer, and Honda is the only one which gives you chrome on the door handles between these two cars. But even the Dzire gets its fair share on the window line, which is missing on the Amaze, and also on the rear there is a bit of chrome that's been used on the Dzire. Talking about the rear, tail lamps, you have to give it to the Amaze. Split tail lamps resemble the Honda City, makes it looks more premium, which is very nice, and even the silhouette looks more complete looking at a subcompact sedan. The Dzire, they're not split, but they are quite sporty, and that is something also that you like. So if you have to summarize the way these two cars look, the Amaze definitely more premium, but the Dzire has to be called the sportier looking of the two. Step into the cabins of the car and we begin with the Dzire, and you can clearly see that this is a big improvement when compared to the earlier version of the car. You can sense it from the time you enter the cabin. So A, it is ergonomic, you get a lot of storage options, although even the Amaze is not bad in that sense. But here what you like is the amalgamation of a lot of textures and colors and materials on the dashboard, which looks quite busy. That is nice. The seats of course are beige on both the cars, which is something that you get in this segment. But overall, in terms of features, the Dzire has really gone ahead of the Amaze. What you get on the Dzire is a slightly bigger touchscreen system that gets more features, gets connectivity options as well, and is definitely more premium of the two. And of course, the Dzire is the only car here which gives you a sunroof as well. This wasn't the case on the sedan earlier, but now you get it. It is still missing on the Amaze, and Honda could have probably thought about providing it in the new generation which came a few months back. The Amaze gets a new design on the dash with a new freestanding 8-inch touchscreen, which along with a 7-inch cluster is standard across variants. Just like the Dzire, wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay connectivity is present here as well, though there's still some scope for improvement in the overall quality of the infotainment system. Connectivity features are present here too, and Honda by offering a 5-year free subscription has taken the game to the next level. In terms of ergonomics too, the front row feels a tad better than the Dzire. The longer wheelbase clearly helps on the Amaze, especially here on the second row, and I'm very happy with the kind of space I get here for somebody as tall as me. This is the kind of knee room here. And the headroom also I feel is slightly better when it compared to the Dzire. The under-thigh support is good as well because the seat is rather big. The rest of the things are almost similar, so you get rear AC vents, but the access to or A or C type charging ports is not there on the second row, which you get on the Dzire. You get a center armrest with cup holders, and you get headrests for all 3 passengers here. But importantly, none of these are adjustable, while on the Dzire, both the headrests you get are adjustable. So overall, while the Dzire gets more features in the cabin, it is the Amaze that feels more airy. Let's look at another critical factor, which is boot space on both these subcompact sedans, starting with the Amaze. And though it has reduced slightly from before, it still stands at a very impressive 416 liters. So that's a lot of space for a car in this segment. And look at this, how nicely the wires have been covered. Again, gives you that premium feel. You come to the Dzire. On both these factors, the car is second when it comes to the ranking. So I open the boot and look at this. What you get here is 380 liters, so significantly lesser than the Amaze. And look at these exposed wires as well. Again, doesn't lend a very premium feel to the entire experience. But overall, it is the Amaze that does better in this department. The Amaze and the Dzire both come with just petrol engine options, and there's no diesel on either. However, the Dzire also gets CNG variants, something missing on the Amaze, at least for now. While Honda gets the same mill as earlier, Maruti has an all-new heart, also seen on the new gen Swift. A brand new engine is one of the biggest changes we've seen on this new generation of the Dzire. So we start our drive with the Dzire, and this one is a big departure from what it was earlier. It's not a 4-cylinder anymore, it's a 3-cylinder engine, and clearly the idea is to give you better fuel efficiency than earlier on this subcompact sedan. So the claim numbers are close to 25 kilometers per liter. That is really impressive looking at the segment. Of course, in the real world, it will not be so close to that. It will be maybe below 20 kilometers per liter, but that also is not bad at all. The engine performs quite nicely both in the low range as well as mid range, and you don't really feel or realize that you're driving a 3-cylinder engine. That is a kind of advancement the brand has done with this new drivetrain. But yes, when you press the throttle hard, when you go into high RPMs at high speeds, the vibrations do come into play, and that is when you feel the difference between a 3 and a 4-cylinder mill. That somewhat affects the NVH levels also, because at higher speeds there's a little more noise of the outside elements that comes inside the cabin that might bother you. The new Dzire comes across as a very easy car to drive. For starters, the steering wheel is really light, so changing lanes is quite quick, and it really helps in the city traffic. The gear shift also is slick and quick. You like that as a user and a driver on everyday basis. And while this one is a manual, I've also driven the AMT earlier on the Dzire, or AGS as Maruti likes to call it, and I have to say that with every new car, every new model, the AGS tech on cars from the company is getting better. It's getting quicker, response times are increasing, that's nice. So general lag associated with AMTs, of course it is there, but that gap between the AMT and CVT or other automatic techs is reducing on newer cars from the brand. The ride is quite good on the new Dzire, was the case earlier as well, but I can sense a slight improvement here. It's not stiff at all, it's something you like, and I've spent more time now with the car, so driving it for a couple of days, you do realize that the car is suited to take on almost all kinds of surfaces. So it's nice on the tarmac, but even when the road turns bad, the car is quite capable of not letting you feel a lot of those undulations. Handles quite nicely. Even at high speeds, you can change lanes with confidence or take those quick turns. It's something that you will like. I think partly owing to the body style, and also the structure of the car is built in a way that gives you a confident drive. 6 airbags of course are standard, and that is something worth appreciating, but there's something even more important and significant that has happened with the Dzire. It has become the first car ever from the brand to get a 5-star crash test rating. So if you're planning to buy a car from Maruti Suzuki all this while, and if safety concerns were bothering you, well, things like 6 airbags, a 360 view camera here on the top model, and a 5-star crash test rating is surely something that can change your mind. There's no crash test done on the Amaze so far by Bharat NCAP, and hopefully that will happen soon. But how is it to drive? Let's find out. So now it's time to drive the Honda Amaze. A lot has changed in this new generation, but what hasn't is the drivetrain. So you continue to get the same 1.2 liter 4-cylinder IV Tech petrol engine that's been doing its duty on many cars from Honda. Now what you get here is slightly more power when compared to a Dzire, but importantly not as much torque, so it sort of balances out between the two cars. Clearly in terms of refinement and NVH levels, you can see the difference between 3 and 4 cylinders. The Amaze generally gets better NVH levels, and you can sense that when driving the car even at high speeds. Yes, fuel efficiency is not as high as you get on the Dzire, so roughly around 5 to 6 kmpl less when compared to both the manual and automatic versions of the Dzire, but that is something you can live with because still it is quite impressive looking at the segment and your requirements. There's superior gearbox tech too, which also helps because on the Dzire you get AMT, but here what you get is CVT, and CVTs with Honda cars is a great combination. They do really well. They've always had a very positive impression. That is the case with the Amaze as well. So yes, CVT like AMT is not made for the enthusiast, but there's a more important purpose that is going to solve, that is making your city commutes from A to B every day of the week more comfortable, easier and stress-free. And when you drive this car right after driving the Dzire AMT, you do realize how CVT is a slightly more potent tech when it comes to drivability, both in terms of convenience as well as responsiveness. Although in case you want slightly more control in your hands and the drive, there are paddle shifts as well that are a welcome addition on the Amaze. For use in the city though, the steering wheel could have been a little more lighter on the Amaze. It's slightly heavy on your arms, which is something you may not like if you spend a long time driving this car. Now there's very little that separates both the Dzire and the Amaze when it comes to ride quality as well as handling. If the ride quality of the Dzire is comfortable, so is the case on the Amaze too. And there's little to complain about when it comes to taking on even the bad patches of the road. And handling too is quite good. Looking at the body style of the Amaze, it's always been good and continues to be the case with this new generation as well. So again, very little separating the Dzire and the Amaze when it comes to this particular attribute. First car in the segment to get ADAS functions, as many as 6 of them, and that is a welcome addition to the car because the more time you spend with the Amaze, as I have over the past couple of days, you realize just how important this addition has been to the car. Apart from lane keeping assist and adaptive cruise control, you also have this very nice feature called lane watch camera, where you get to see what's on your left. If you're trying to change lanes, switch on the indicator, the feed will come on your camera. I think it's a very handy feature to have on any car, and if you're driving in traffic all the time, this one is really helpful. And 6 airbags are standard too, just like the Dzire. So the 5-star crash test rating of the Dzire evens out nicely when you look at the ADAS functions that are being given on the Amaze. And finally, the prices. The Dzire starts at a much lower 6,83,000 rupees and goes up to 10,19,000 rupees for the top AGS ZXi Plus. The Amaze on the other hand starts higher at 8,09,000 rupees ex-showroom and goes to 11,20,000 rupees ex-showroom. But remember, Amaze base variant is more loaded than Dzire, and the top gets a CVT instead of AMT. So finally, verdict time. Which one of these two cars should you invest in? And there are a couple of things to look for here. First, of course, is the way both of them look. And if you ask me personally, I like the overall silhouette and the design of the Amaze. It just feels more premium. The sporty look of the Dzire doesn't really subscribe to what the consumer is looking for in the segment, according to me. I could be wrong though. And then you come to the all-important features inside the cabin. And here, clearly, the Dzire scores over the Amaze with exclusive features like a sunroof as well as a 360 view camera. However, I have to say, ergonomically and in practical terms, the Amaze feels better, especially on the second row, with more room for you as an occupant. But then, of course, there is drivability as well. You have a 3-cylinder versus a 4-cylinder. You have a AMT versus a CVT. So on paper, Amaze clearly has a superior technology, but you have to give it to Maruti Suzuki because with every new car that comes in the market, the AGS or AMT tech seems to improve, the response seems to improve, and of course, fuel efficiency also is key. So the gap clearly has reduced with this new engine between a 3 and a 4-cylinder and also between an AMT and a CVT. And lastly, a really critical issue in this segment has to be the price. And here you see a more than 1 lakh rupee difference between the top variants of these two cars. Clearly, the Dzire comes across as a more value for money option. It gives you more for less, which is something that really matters to the consumer. With 5-star safety rating, I think in this particular comparison, the Dzire is the one which takes the crown.